Hello there, and welcome to Unleash the Network podcast, a podcast that aims to educate and inspire listeners by sharing stories from Mastercard Foundation scholars and African Leadership Academy alumni who have gone on to make a positive impact in their communities and promote the values of leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Arnold, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to meet and chat.
You're a really busy man. You always have something going on. So what's keeping you busy right now?
Well, currently what's been keeping me busy is mostly school. So I'm currently studying at Auburn University in Alabama, US, where I'm pursuing a Master of Science in Horticulture. And so my research is mainly focused on controlled environment agriculture. So that's like combined, like, talking about aquaponics, growing of fish and vegetables together, and hydroponics. But I'm specifically investigating about salinity tolerance in tomatoes. So a lot of the time, especially in the US, when you have aquaponics, you have a lot of people in the US prefer having saltwater fish than freshwater fish. So normally in aquaponics, you have to have both the systems profitable. So if you cannot sell your fish, that means you won't be able to make profit. So my research is mainly focusing on how can we combine like a saltwater fish with plants, like high value crops like tomatoes. So that takes most of my time, full-time student. And then on the side, I'm working as I earlier mentioned to you, I'm working as a mentor for the Clinton Global Initiative. So I joined the Clinton Global Initiative in 2020 as a student. By that time, my commitment to action was my social venture that I still work on. That's Joint Organic Aquaponics. And so I'm currently working as a mentor, and I have 14 students, and they are from 4 different universities in the US. So I sort of help them like access to resources, one-to-one meetings, and so guide them through their journey at the CGIU. So I did actually meet some of them at the annual conference this year that was in March in Nashville. So yeah, but it's been interesting. It's been good. And then, as I also earlier mentioned, I've been working as a guide as well for the Resolution Project that actually partners with the Mastercard Foundation as a guide. So I have another social venture that it's called PAL API. So they are working on like bee production in Uganda. So they have bees, and it's all been a learning process. But yeah, I'm really glad to be here.
So you're working on all these side projects and you're still a full-time student. How do you juggle between everything that you have to do?
Yeah, so a lot of the time, at least for a lot of the time, the work for the student is like obviously the priority because I want to get that done. But I always say I have this quote from my supervisor, Dr. Wells. He always says that if you think you're busy as a student, when you become like a professor like him, you realize that you weren't busy as a student. So I always have some time, and I try to make the most of the time and try to do sort of have a plan always. So I always have like set times that I say, well, I have to complete this by this day. So I try to fix time within there. But I mean, one of the things I like about working with the student, especially like in as a guide and as a mentor, is the students are really flexible because I'm also a student. So, most of the time, the conversations don't have to be really formal, but any sort of support. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean through a Zoom. It could be like through like a WhatsApp or something that's informal. So a lot of the time we don't realize how much time we actually have on the hand. So that has been a learning process. Obviously, sometimes there is no time, right? But I think most of the time I always think of, the 24-hour period we have, and I just try to balance things out.
It does require a lot of discipline and commitment to be able to do that.
Yeah, it does. It does a lot actually. But I think a lot of as you well know, I'm a MasterCard scholar, and one of the lessons I got from my time at Earth, Earth has an intensive program. I think it's a really good preparation into like, especially if you're looking on to if I reflect on my life after graduation and looking at all the experiences I got from there, I think it did prepare me well because you have the Earth curriculum is really preparing leaders, and it just sort of makes you aware of how much you can accomplish in a day. So that has been really productive on my side to come and see how many things I can always handle at the time. And so I guess I'm still learning because I feel like I could do even more with the time I have.
And it's also preparing you for the outside world because there's never enough time.
Yeah, yeah, of course there is never enough time. And I think one of the other lessons I really had about time management is so I've been always working on my joint organic aquaponics in some way since when I started in 2019. So this project, first I was working on it remotely from Costa Rica, and then after my graduation, I was home for like for 7 months. I worked on that too while there, and it just helped me. These experiences combined just helped me to actually be able to learn how to better manage my time. I would say still I have some journey to go, but I think, experiences, and these are unique to everyone. So in my case, it could be my time on Earth, being able to run a business for some time, uh, and, my student time here at Auburn. But I think that the different experiences we have always sort of shape our understanding and our perception of time. So I imagine it's be the same with you. You have time. I'm sure you have accomplished so much too. Maybe sometimes you don't realize I did this and this, but I think all of us have sort of a set discipline, and our experiences help us to navigate through like all the responsibilities and roles we have to do.
Couldn't agree more. So you went to Earth University. What did you study there?
So at Earth, I did a bachelor's degree in agriculture science and natural resource management.
And then you're currently studying?
And then I'm currently studying horticulture. So they're both in ag, but I'm more like now, I'm now more like specializing in fruit and vegetable production. So as I mentioned, we work in aquaponics. I'm doing my research on tomatoes, but in the department that I work with here at Auburn, we still work with like lettuce. We have kale. So we have it's a really broad program, but mainly focuses on fruit and vegetable production.
Have you always known that your path was going to be in agriculture? So like, did you know that, I'm going to study agriculture in undergrad, I'm going to study agriculture in master's, or was this something you figured out along the way?
It's really hard to say that I knew, because when I finished my high school, and I had the Pestalozzi scholarships. When I finished my high school, I knew I wanted to go something relating to natural resource management and agriculture, and natural resource management and environmental science in general. But I didn't specifically know that I'm going to end up at Earth. But obviously, a lot of the time through the contacts we have. So by that time, I had a counselor who told me about Earth, and I had a friend who went to my same high school that knew about Earth. So they told me about Earth, and I'm like, oh, actually, this could actually align with what I want to study. And then I did my undergrad at Earth. And as I told you, I was working on my social venture, like joint organic aquaponics. So to come here, it's through a contact still, like because I was already in Uganda working on an aquaponics project, right? I was trying to work with like sort of do like market research, project development, and everything. So then it was just like, it's something that I didn't really know that I'm going to end up specifically doing horticulture. But when I found this opportunity about aquaponics, which is what I'm already working on, I thought, this could be a good opportunity for me to build on the skills and knowledge that I already have. So that's how I branched to specialize in horticulture. So I guess the short answer is I didn't really know, I didn't really plan, but then a lot of the time, our experiences help us navigate and see the paths that we can, the paths we are getting. And then throughout that, we can make better informed decisions. Because maybe initially, because at Earth, we study agriculture science and we look at the different paths, different routes someone could go. It could be in studying of insects, entomology, or plant pathology. So it's really open. And then that, depending on the experiences you have and the interest, then you could say, actually, maybe this is the right path for me.
I asked that question because most of the times when students graduate from college, undergrad, it's hard to figure out what they want to go and study for grad program, right? And most of the times, it's the fear of what happens next, right? I mean, I don't know what I want to do with my life, right? So at times people just want to venture to grad school as a way to escape that, right? I mean, obviously you're going to come back to it, but then at least it gives you more time, right? And so it's good to hear how how your process was like in terms of figuring out what you want to study for masters.
Absolutely, yes. I think in a lot of the time, you study, you say I want to graduate with a bachelor's in agriculture, but then when you actually graduate, most of us are like, okay, so what do I do now? Like, what
What's
do I
next?
do? So yeah, that's an interesting concept. And I think a lot of the time, what helps us, as I said, in my case, it was the experience, working with a business. Then I realized, because most of the time, before the biggest like opportunity for us to learn is actually doing something, having an experience. So I think for me, what was really eye-opening was my experience, graduating, working on my business full time, and then realizing, oh, actually, there is a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge that I have to run this project, but there is still more that I could get. And so when I got an opportunity to do a master's in a field that I'm already doing my business on, I thought, okay, this could open doors to other opportunities. This could be a learning process for me to actually do my business, which is my end goal, be able to do a business and start my business in aquaponics or like in generally like farming. So yeah, it's true. A lot of us, it's not a lot of life is navigating really, because even sometimes you may be sure that okay, I want to study this, but you still graduate and you still have time to figure out because life and school generally, I would say, a lot of people say this, life and school are sort of different experiences. When you go out of school, then you actually have the more hands-on experience, and then there you learn that, oh, actually, in school I learned a lot, but maybe I still needed this to to learn and navigate throughout life.
So just briefly, tell us a bit about joint organic aquaponics and the work that you do.
So joint organic aquaponics, I started this in when I was at my second year at Earth, so that is in 2019. And my first fund that I got was actually from the Mastercard Foundation at Earth. So I initially started with the concept of growing fish and vegetables for the community, and being able to have sort of a demonstration farm where we grow fish and vegetables, and then sort of an hands-on experience for the farmers in the community and students. And now I would say I have transitioned a lot still to like the experience, and I'm focusing more on creating a lot of resources for, let's say, farmers, for students, for anyone that wants to venture into that and offer advisory services in a sense. So I've been working so when I was in Uganda, I made some contacts with farmers, and I've been working with farmers to I would say like a consultant to help them navigate some of the problems they find. So a lot of the time is with pests, a lot of the time is with like a lot of the diseases they face, and generally like in vegetable production. So it's transitioned a lot, but I would say our focus has been still on like education and trainings and teaching. So obviously, currently, as I'm pursuing my master's, most of these trainings cannot be in person, right? But I've still managed to reach, especially through like WhatsApp, through Facebook. I've still managed to reach a lot of people, a lot of farmers that are working on systems. So most of them send me what they're working on, and then I can give recommendations. Some of them ask me, oh, actually, my fish tank, something, a lot of the fish died. Or, this is what I'm doing. And then wherever I am, I can tell them, oh, I think this and this and this is the problem, and this is what you should do. So that has helped me to, I think the biggest lesson I've had in my joint organic aquaponics journey is to be flexible and know that, okay, if my plan is to actually grow fish and vegetables with the people, with the farmers in the community, if I'm not able to do that right now, what can I do to make a sort of progress on my project? So I think that has been a big learning process for me. But I would say in general, currently, like that's what I'm mainly doing. So it's been a lot of online interaction, like through WhatsApp and Facebook, but mostly like adversary services.
Clearly, technology has made things easier. Arnold, do you love eating?
Yeah, I do.
You're a fan of food?
Yeah, of course, I love food.
Does that explain why you're in agriculture?
Um, I would say, let me see. I wouldn't say necessarily that explains why I'm in agriculture. I think one of the biggest motivations for me to start agriculture is my experience growing up. My parent has been growing a lot of vegetables, like, and food, like, a lot of people in Uganda like bananas, like plantains. So we had a lot of those. There's always been some farming and growing food and all that. And I've always liked as well, like going outside and experiencing things. And so I feel like being in ag has given me that opportunity to actually be out and grow food. So even here, actually, at Auburn, me and some of my friends, we like we have like a community garden. So we work on a community garden together, and then we go and share some experience. So it's, I think, I would say food as well, but because, who doesn't like to eat what they've grown, right? But a lot of it has been also with my experience.
I mean, thank you so much, Arnold, for sharing your story. And I'm glad that, you're working towards feeding us because, hey, we all need to eat.
Yeah, that's true. And thank you for having me.